It is it is Spanish Caravan. It is a lovely warm day. Now, could it be sunnier? Quite possibly it could be. There's a lot of odd cloud cover in Liverpool. Not that you care, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But we are enjoying the sunshine and we are enjoying the heat as it comes through. We have our Erdinger, we have Phil Blundell, we have Kieran Molyneux, and we have Kev Reilly to talk about the extent to which, Phil, I'm doing the thing where I check in with supporters of other teams at the minute. Okay. We're going out next week, and I did Jordan Jarrett Bryan today talking about Arsenal. And I love Jordan, he's great, and also he pulls no punches where Arsenal are concerned. And he was a bit like, Zubimendi may well happen. We've only been working on it for 6 months. There's loads and loads.
They've signed him 5 times.
They've signed him 5 times. He says, and there's other things happening. He says, but I turn around and I look at Liverpool and there's 3 done. They've got 3 done. And there's other stuff happening, you know, it feels like it's all go. And there's been times in the past where, listen, don't get me wrong, Liverpool supporters have been frustrated by the way we go about things, but it's worth saying right now, Wirtz is all but finished, expecting the announcement tonight or tomorrow. Kerkez, all but finished, expecting the formal announcement, social media, Monday, Tuesday. Frimpong in through the door, a couple of goalkeeper and defender going. Liverpool are all business. Yeah,
there's a real sense of clarity in what it feels like Liverpool have been looking for. Like, I think we all knew we needed a left back. We all knew that we needed a bit more creativity in the final third. We probably now know we need a centre back. Come on to that later, I imagine. The backup goalkeeper's sorted.
Yeah,
everything looks like what you sort of wanted and what you want. Liverpool have identified what they need and gone out and got it done early, and now they can sort of move on to the secondary stuff's probably not quite the right word for it, because I don't think a centre forward is a secondary requirement, but it probably wasn't as high up the list as full backs and a bit more creativity, and it's probably not even as high as a centre back is now, but it is still there. It's something you need, and put ourselves in a great position to go out and go full attention on that real area of focus and go from there.
The journey that they've gone on, Kieo, it is one, I think, where by holding firm last summer, they're not being anyone that they wanted beyond Zubimendi themselves. Let's be honest, Arsenal got a player that we wanted last summer, but what they've done is, I think they've put themselves in a position now where the manager's had time, they've consulted with him, and he's good to go. They're good to go. As Phil says, there's a real clarity. We want some of this, we need some of this. The circumstance means we need that right back. This is what we want. Let's go and get it, and it is great to see.
Everything seems so calculated, everything seems so pre-planned. There's no sort of people reacting to something. There's no surprises here. There's a lot of change, but there's not too much change. Everything that's being changed, probably could argue by the right back, is a positive change. To be able to put Quansah one way and bring in Frimpong the other for the same price, and you're swapping Quansah, who's been a bit of a bit past, for a Dutch international who's classed as homegrown, who's won the Bundesliga. He's a brilliant signing, so I'm dead pleased with Liverpool's business. There's a bit more to do. The strike is a big one in it, like whether it's a number 9 or whether it's a forward player. But you can't moan. Every other team in the country must be looking at us now going, that's exactly what I want my team to do. And we've wanted that for years as Liverpool fans, to win a massive trophy and then act like it. And that's exactly what they're doing.
It's what it's thrown open though is there's been a couple of quite odd Liverpool careers have ended. We talked about Kelleher last week. But I think Quansah's is, first and foremost, I want to be clear, I think it's a career he can be proud of. Because I think when he's been called upon, he's not let the side down in a significant way. It looks like he's going to go to Leverkusen and get regular football. Because Kev, I think that's what he needs.
Yeah.
I want there, in a way, to be a universe where in 12 months' time we're all going, maybe we should have let Quansah go. Because it'll mean when he's gone to Leverkusen, he's been a credit to himself and he's kicked on. And I think that's what we want for him. But he won't get the same opportunities to do it here, I don't think.
No, absolutely not. And there was the quote that Slot said way back in the season, earlier in the season, that he wants high calibre players to be sort of off the level of Mo Salah, which sounds ridiculous when you think about it, but we're champions, and to be champions in the Premier League, you need to be the best. I'm hoping that there would be like a nice little buyback clause in there for Quansah, because I do like him. I think he's a great player. I think it's interesting that we had Klopp, who was more about sort of crafting the diamond and getting these players out, and under Klopp he had a much better season, and then Slot has just decided, look, you're not for me, so we're going to move you on, and it sort of harks back to this ruthlessness that we're doing, and well, maybe a bit more pragmatic. Maybe it's a pragmatic thing. I think he's a great player. I think he's going to do fantastically in Germany. I think he's going to be unbelievable over there. But at the end of the day, if he's not going to be getting minutes from, what's the point in having him in? We need to get somebody in who can be a good backup and be happy with that as well. At the end of the day, he's an international for England as well. So yeah, it's a big future for him.
I think it's a big future for him, Phil. But I think there watching him across both seasons, one of the things that I would find you'd see with him, I thought, and it's just to the eye, it's very difficult to measure this sort of thing, but I always felt his performance had diminished last 15 in games. And I think that there's something in that in terms of the fact that he just literally has not had enough games. And the only way you get games is by getting games. It's just this circular thing. And I just really was of the view with him that he needed to have a proper season of 30 League 90s. And hopefully he gets that in Germany. And I genuinely think if he does, then he'll be the footballer that I think the best version of him that we've seen. You know, I want to be clear again, just because I think it's right that he moves on from Liverpool doesn't mean I don't think he can't be an international and Champions League class centre-back.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that centre-backs just haven't broken through at Liverpool by and large for 30, 40 years. Let's be perfectly honest here. Take out Jamie Carragher and you're going back to Phil Thompson.
And Carragher breaks through at right back or left back.
It doesn't come through as a centre back. It's a really hard thing to do because I don't know if you watched the club done an Alisson documentary. I watched the first episode today, and there's somebody in it who says basically it's really hard being a young player because you get one opportunity. If a club signs you, you get 100 games, and you get 100 games to be watched and develop as a footballer, and you know exactly what you're getting. If you're not on it in your first game as a youngster, it's a problem. He was on it his first game as a youngster, but it hasn't quite worked out for him in the way that you would want. There's a lot of being at the scene of the crime last year, which I think was a bit harsh. Like Chelsea away, for example, gives a penalty away because there's a hospital ball passed to him and he had no real alternative. And there's an own goal where someone kicks it at him. And it's a bit like what are you supposed to do? But at the same time, it feeds anyone's narrative of a bit of a problem. I think it's the big thing for him is he just needs to play football, and Liverpool are in a position where they can give him minutes. We can't afford to develop a centre back at the minute. It's just we're at the top of the game. We can't be going.
The Liverpool's job is to get Arne Slot's job is to get Liverpool to get as many points as possible, i.e. more than 90. And his job isn't to get the best version of Jarrell Quansah. His job is to get the 90 points.
But at the same time, there's people within the club whose job is to get £40 million for players like Jarrell Quansah, and they've done that. So there's a lot to be said to this, that it is mutually beneficial. I agree on the buyback thing because I think there's a world where in 2 or 3 years, you're looking at it and going, yeah, okay, I'm fine with it now playing for Liverpool. But he can't get to that point by staying at Liverpool. I just don't think it's possible.
This also possibly feeds into the fact that our managers kept the players fitter. So you've got Ibrahima Konate who's been more fit and not been out as much, which has then limited the opportunities for Quansah as well. So yeah, it's another fact.
You find any Liverpool fan who won't say there's a player in there. I don't think anyone's looked at this move going and made up Quansah's gone. Everyone wanted it to work out. Everyone feels like it was close to working out. But
you form an attachment with younger players like that as well.
You do, but it's game time, and you can go. I hope there's a buyback as well. I said this with Carragher. I'd say with Elliott if he moves on, there's a good few players who are on the fringe of Liverpool. If they move on, I think there's a good chance that they're going to be a real top quality player in a few years' time.
What they've also had as well, Kieo, is they've had the benefit of Liverpool coaching and Liverpool experience. Quansah's played in some big games. He's been around the club for some big moments. He's had, for instance, the staggering emotional issue with Klopp and Klopp moving on. You know, that's huge experience for someone in any workplace, but especially one as fraught as football. He's had last season being around, and he's got a title in his medal, by the way. He's played his part, and he's played his part in training. He's been around the setup, he's played his part, and he's got that experience as well. When these lads leave Liverpool, I like the idea they go on and other clubs get them and they go, Christ, he's a good player.
Exactly, and not just a good player, he's an experienced player. There's a lot to be said for winning Premier League titles. Like, there's not many people who can do it. He's not going into Leverkusen as a youngster, as a prospect. He's going in as a player with experience.
Well, to Phil's point, he's going in to get us 100 games. They're buying him, they're paying that money because they want to give him 100 games.
But there's no player that's going to be there that's going to like rip him insane and they go, well, I've not been at this level before. Because he's been playing with Mo Salah for 3 years. He's not going to get to a big Champions League tie and go, wow, look at the Champions League music that's playing in. All that is in the bank.
Yeah, he nearly scored against Paris Saint-Germain. He had to post against Paris Saint-Germain.
It's time to play football for him. He's done the stuff on top of the buses. He's won cups. He's got that experience, but it's time for him to play football, get 100 games, and certify himself as a top centre half, which I think he can do.
I think with it, Phil, we'll get on to talk about it in a minute. It means that Liverpool now could do with getting another centre back in. I think it's in the same way that it is difficult to bring a young centre back through. I think this is an exceptionally difficult thing to recruit for. Before we sort of throw some names around in a minute, for me there's a little bit of a journey here, because what you're not looking to do is disrupt the starting partnership as it's been, unless there's a reason to do it around Konate's contract. You're not looking to disrupt that starting partnership. That said, you want someone who can come in and genuinely add. You're not looking for someone who's just there to make up the numbers, so it's a fine line.
Yeah, centre-back is, like I've said a few times over the course of the last few weeks, about we aren't really sure what Liverpool's plan is under this manager yet. We haven't got the full story. Whereas I sort of think with centre-back, you know more than anything else really. Like, they've got to be aggressive, got to be good in the air, they've got to be happy being one-on-one, 50 yards from goal, 20 yards from the full-back, 15 yards from the other centre-half, nowhere near a hole in the field. And they've got to be happy to win battles. That is, you know, whether they're on the air, whether they're on the ground, you have to win battles. If you don't do that, you will be no good for Liverpool. Because, like, you see what happens when you don't win your battles against Everton last season. When Beto sort of kept winning the ball, all of a sudden we've gone from absolute utter domination to them being in a position where they think they can score.
Carabao Cup fan.
Yeah, exactly. You're just looking at it, we didn't win that one, and then all of a sudden the other team are in and you've got a problem, and you go from being in complete control of the game of football to one long ball from James Tarkowski or whatever. They win a 50-50 and all of a sudden it's 2-on-2, 50 yards from goal, and you're a bit like, hang on, it's a problem this. So it feels like it's an area where you know exactly what you need, you've just got to find it, but the players at the level of Van Dijk and Konate just do not grow on trees, do they? They just don't.
There we are. We'll be there. We're in Spanish Caravan. We'll be back in a second.
And Erdinger, please.
Stop! Don't forget the best bit.
Welcome back, the Spanish Caravan. Very, very pleased to be here with Kev, with Kieo, and with Phil. And Kev, what I think is interesting is, I said before, Liverpool very focused. Kerkez is not a surprise. The only surprise would have been if he hadn't bought him, to be honest. Frimpong, it felt like it was moving that way from early in May. That's the way it moves, he ends up confirmed. Wirtz is a surprise in the first place, comes from nowhere, then Liverpool established themselves to getting the player. I feel with the centre-back question, I get the sense Liverpool might be a bit more prepared to play the field, to look at what the market's saying, than they have been previously so far this window.
100%. I think that the marker there is selling Quansah before getting someone in. You would expect, if they were worried about it, they would get someone in before they would get rid of Quansah. So I think they've got a plan there. I'm just not too sure who it is. I've heard the names bandied about, Gehi being one of them. I'm not sure about him because, for me, Quansah's quality and his quality aren't miles apart. I feel like Quansah's probably slightly better in the air, and as we've just been speaking about, he's got that Liverpool experience, playing in Europe, playing at a higher calibre. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is something going on behind the scenes. I'm not too sure what it is, apart from the fact that the manager likes versatility. So I'd imagine it might not be a centre-back who can play left-sided and right-sided. It might be a centre-back who can play centre-back and left-back. Or it might be a centre-back who can be centre-back and right-back, or do bits elsewhere, maybe a little bit of defensive mid. I'm not sure. I just don't see it being a one-stop shop type of player. I don't think it'll be a centre back per se. So it'll be really interesting to see what the next steps are for us and who we're bringing in.
I think the first thing to work out is what's happening with Konate.
Yeah.
I mean, if Konate is leaning more towards leaving, then you're shopping for a Konate replacement. If you're confident you get Konate over the line, then it's a different signing, isn't it? And I think that's what they'll be looking at now. I don't know with Konate, I don't know what you feel about it. I think it's still a toss of a coin. I honestly don't know. It could be either looking for more money or
the music's been a bit better the last couple of weeks, I think, hasn't it? In terms of it went from it felt like it was a no to more of it,
Yeah, but no, I'm genuinely interested to see what you think about him, because I don't know. There's some people who think he's definitely off. I think they just scarred by sense a little bit. I think there's some that think, you know, he's a massive character in the squad and he looks like he loves Liverpool. Might just be his agent playing the game. Ultimately, though, the point is, if Konate's looking like he's leaving, then it's a bigger signing to make now. If you think you get Konate over the line, then you're looking for someone who can maybe play a couple of positions or maybe play second fiddle to Konate.
What do you think? Because I think this is one of those areas now where I think the homegrown thing now comes in a little bit.
Yeah,
that's where it feels like it's tightening. I think we've got room with the homegrown thing. I expect Chiesa and Nunez both to move on over the course of the window. Wouldn't surprise me if one more in the attacking area, who obviously by extension won't be homegrown, moves on. I don't think there's, maybe Tsimikas moves on, not homegrown, or it could be Robertson, he's also down as not homegrown. So there could be some, I'm not saying there's no wiggle room, but it's where it does begin to tighten.
We are over the top at the minute.
Yeah.
So to sign one non-homegrown player now, we need to sell 2.
Yeah.
And that's before I think we've even considered this goalie. There's a Hungarian goalie who, for European terms, would be registered as well.
Yeah.
So there is quite a bit of. We are in a negative state with this. I think we just sort of got to be looking around the Premier League in some ways. I think Gay was mentioned yesterday. There was a Nathan Collins thing which I probably have more interest in than Gay personally. I think if you can play for Brentford, you can probably play for most teams. In fairness,
How old's Collins though?
he's only about 25. He's not very
Yeah.
old. Yeah, 'cause he was at Burnley for a bit, then Wolves. He's been Brentford 2 years now.
Yeah, he's had
I think
2
he's
seasons.
like a decent Premier League centre back who probably reasonably well suited to something that we need.
25.
Yeah,
I think he'll come on for playing with better players.
I think he will as well. And I think you're going to have to sort of do someone like that. And it might come across as like the name might end up. I think there'll be a name this summer that we sign where people are like, "Are you sure?" And it's a bit of a gamble, and B, it's also to fit this criteria that you wouldn't sign the same player if he was Portuguese, for example. But because he fits this thing, you sort of have to go, just see what happens. And
It's not great though.
yeah, it might well be. I think we've also got a bit of wiggle room in the sense of this centre back can be fourth choice. In the Quanta was fourth choice ultimately, and Joe Gomez is still there. Gomez can play both sides. He can do bits at full back. So you keep him, he is still able to do a lot of the heavy lifting, and it might only be that who you bring in starts 10 to 15 games on competitions next season. So it might not be,
but it's
the most important thing, but you still need a body, because we all remember that season where we tried to have a go at 3 centre-backs and then it turned out that we had none of those 3 centre-backs.
Yeah, but there's a thing with it, Phil, I think, though, where you can say you just need a body, and you can say it's just 10 to 15 games, and that's very possible. But that's become such a sweet spot, because if you want someone in who you think, and the manager said about top quality all the time, you end up, I think, there's just a mini contradiction with it all, and I think it's an exceptionally difficult. I've got sympathy, and that's why I wonder if they are taking a breath, having a bit of a think, seeing what the market offers. Because if Liverpool are spending 40 million quid in every other position, Liverpool are putting 40 million quid on the pitch.
Yeah.
There's nowhere else where Liverpool don't put 40 million quid on the pitch. Everywhere else it becomes the money, the wage that goes on the pitch that plays on a regular basis. So I don't think you're going to get that many that are Liverpool class for 8 or 10 million.
No, I think that's sort of what I say about you might get a name where it's a bit like it's not a 40 million lad. It might be something that you think is.
That's positive about Canate. Back to what I was
Yeah,
saying
exactly,
before.
yeah.
It's an 8 to 10 million pound player that comes in as a definitely fourth choice. It's positive news about the Canate situation.
Like you think about when they signed Shimmerkas, and there's a lot of things to be said negatively about Shimmerkas, but ultimately he's coming in, he's been a valuable squad player who's done things. He only cost 8 to 10 million quid.
Yeah.
It shows that if you get the right one, they can serve a purpose. And it might not be that, I don't really want to watch a centre-back equivalent to Kostas Shimmerkas play 40 games for Liverpool next year, but it might be that you can get one in who does that 10, 15, and maybe then you look at him in a year and go, actually quite good, I'll be happier with him next year, and he can do 30 now. It is the thing where you sort of have to back these people and let them get on with what they're doing and go, okay, I'll have to trust you. Which I think they've earned, in fairness.
The alternative is, and this is where you end up talking against yourself, Kev, is the alternative is a 19-year-old. They were excited by Hoyce, and I think they would have done Hoyce if they could have done. The alternative is a 19-year-old. But we've said before about how hard it is for young centre-backs. But someone who's now, because it's worth saying, Quanta, we act like he's very young. He is 23. The idea maybe of an 18, 19-year-old who fits the bill, who they feel as though they can run with for a couple of seasons, give some chances to, but not rely upon, and get them ready. I wonder if that might be the other thing they're looking at. Who is there across Europe who fits that bill?
How old's Jarell Hato?
He's like 19, I think.
So I like him because he can play on the left-hand side, and I know that we don't do huge gambles, but I wonder if that part of the learning curve for the manager is looking at basically a lot of games without Gomez and thinking, well, maybe I don't need another centre-back consistently for those 10 games, but I need somebody who can do little bits at left-back and can do a little bit at centre-back. And then it's about switching positions, whether it's him replacing Van Dijk on the left and playing with Konate, and then having Gomez fit to replace Konate on the right. I think it's about the options, but with that, I mean, he was at one of our games, wasn't he? He was at the Wolves game or something last season, I think. And no smoke without fire. I mean, why was he there? I can't imagine he'd be too much money Is he an international yet, do we know?
I think he's been in squads. I don't know if he's
I think you look at the other side of 30 million for him.
Yeah, I think he's on the more expensive side, but then he's come through Ajax's academy, and we've got experience there of how good a player someone can be.
We appear to really like signing Dutch players as well, don't we?
Yeah.
So there is that element of
Yeah,
it.
swap a Jarell for a Jarell, and it's the Superman link. I like that as well. So, yeah, he fits the bill for me. Outside of that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works with the homegrown status as well, because he's younger. I think
he's younger, so he wouldn't have to take a. He would
for 2 years,
but he would in Europe.
Yeah,
so the key point is, but he wouldn't have to take a Champions.
But that's the thing. I don't think they'll be playing the type of person that we're looking to replace Gerard Quansah in Europe necessarily. I think we're still going to go as strong. Maybe not as strong this year, but we're going to go strong in Europe to at least get top 9.
Yeah.
And I can't see us playing. I think it'll be maybe the Burnley away, which is in between the Champions League games, that maybe this player gets a start in. I don't necessarily think it'll be in Europe, so that might be an option.
Me personally, I'd be fine with a fourth choice, £8 to £10 million. I'd understand it, but I'm always interested in signing a top player for the long term. So if it was my choice, then I'd do a deal with Moisey and give him dope and go for Van Plate to burn some piss over the next few weeks. And
the only thing with that is it does decrease the chances of getting him on a free to replace Van Dijk,
yeah,
which is what I'm fully invested in. I won't like.
That's what I always think long term. I always think,
So does Phil, where boiler Evertonian piss is concerned, and he's got massive plans for the summer of 27. Massive plans.
Honestly, just carry a cardboard cut out on an open top bus from around town, 8 hours a day, every day.
And the day he comes in, you call him a Liverpool legend as well, yeah.
Phil's on the 82, again, next to his cardboard cutout.
It's a great time to do it as champions. Everton have got bills on their heads. I mean, they're going to put a sign on top of the Hill Atkinson in a few weeks, so that's going to cost a few quid. So.
When they put it on the roof, putting it on top of it.
On top of the bus.
Like, insane.
Honestly. No, well, yeah, I wonder about that. My only thing with that is, he then becomes like Quansah, where you're like, well, he needs games, but he plays Van Dijk's side. Yeah. He's good with both feet, Brandtway, don't get me wrong, but he's, Jimmy Van, all that sort of stuff. But this again, why this is hard. No one's saying this is easy.
This new Virgil van Dijk deal for 2 years, there's going to be a point where he starts to rest. There's going to be a point where he plays less games than he plays now, and the Virgil that we know be there every single week, every single game, wants to play. That's going to change. So I would always.
When people say that, I would quite like there to be like a hologram of Van Dijk in the sky that suddenly just emerges and goes, "No here," and you just got to go, "Sam, mate, no worries."
In the office.
Yeah, the office is like you're 42 doing it. You know what I mean? Like he's not showing any signs of it, but you would assume at some point it makes sense to protect him a little bit more as time goes on. And I'm always interested in the long term, and I'm always interested in playing with some Everton piss. So.
And unlike Phil, you don't like to defer your gratification. You'll have it this summer, thank you.
I do it now, yeah.
Anyone for you? Said before about Collins.
I think at 2 Collins. Just think he looks ready to step up to me, and he's a big lad. I quite like big lads as centre back.
Yeah, certainly if you're buying tiny lads at right back.
Yeah. Honestly, there's a world where Virgil van Dijk's going to look like Snow White here.
We're not careful. Excellent stuff. It's been Friday night with Erdinger in Spanish Caravan. It's been a pleasure. See you later on.